Welcome to the Rebel Base Media podcast studio. I've brought you here because for the next 3 videos, we're going to talk about equipment. We're going to talk about microphones, how to record, and any peripheral equipment that you might need. In this video, I'm going to discuss 4 of my favorite podcasting microphones and which one I think you should choose based on its merits and its flexibility. Now, of course, there are so many microphones on the market. You'll hear other microphones mentioned, things like the Shure SM7B, and they're all wonderful microphones. But I've chosen these 4 because, number 1, they are affordable. Number 2, they will scale with your podcast. And number 3, I believe they're the best sounding microphones that give you the most flexibility at the right budget. Now, it doesn't matter which of these microphones you choose. They're all wonderful and they will all scale with your podcast. You shouldn't have to replace them, if at all, at least for the next few years. And that's just because we love microphones as podcasters. We just get itchy. We want new things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demo each of the 4 microphones that I have here in front of me. The Heil PR40, the RØDE Podmic, the ATR 2100/2100X, and the Samson Q2U. I'm going to talk to you about their pricing. I'm going to talk to you about their connectivity, and I'm going to recommend which one I think you should use. So let's dive in. First and foremost is the Heil PR40. It's the microphone I'm using right now. Now, what I should point out is that, first of all, regardless of the microphones that you use, the proper mic technique for podcasting is not quite the mic technique that I'm using right now, because I'm recording video, so I need a little bit more flexibility, I need a little bit more space. In podcasting, what I want you to be doing is actually having your microphone, regardless of which one you choose, have it about a fist width away from your mouth. So when I do these demos, I've moved this microphone up into the proper podcasting position. Remember, 1 fist width away. Talk into the front of the microphone. We're not talking into the side of it. We're not having it like that. Okay, we're talking into the proper part of the microphone, just like that, and I've set that up. Okay, so I'm going to demo the Heil PR40, then I'm going to bring on the next microphone. Hey, my name is Mark Asquith. This is the Podcast Accelerator. I will help you to design and build and grow your podcast audience in actionable, simple takeaways every single episode. The Heil PR40 sounds wonderful. Let me bring on now the RØDE Podmic on channel 2. And you'll notice it's actually a similar setup, and I'm going to try and match the volumes on this. It's just, there we go. I think that's about there. So remember, I'm talking into the front of this microphone. This is the RØDE Podmic, and it's a wonderful little microphone. It's a little bit smaller than the Heil. Look at the size of the Heil, the width of it and the depth of it. It's a little bit bigger than this Podmic, and I like this mic. I think it's a fantastic mic. RØDE sent me this to try out, and it's a wonderful microphone. And you can tell, hey, I'm Mark Asquith. This is the Podcast Accelerator, the show that helps you to design, build, and grow your podcast audience. There's not really that much of a discernible difference. There's not that much really going on that you can discern. Sure, if you're an audiophile or if you're really into audio, maybe your voice is slightly different than mine. We've all got different types of voice. Maybe one mic suits your voice more than others. But actually, for the most part, between this Heil PR40 and this RØDE Podmic, there's not that much in it, is there? There's not that much in it. So, 2 fantastic microphones. Okay, that's the RØDE Podmic. You can hear how that sounds. Next, I'm going to bring on the ATR 2100 and the 2100X. So this is the Heil PR40, and I think I've matched that volume fairly well. Notice I've got my microphone very close to me within a fist length. Now, this is an old school looking microphone. It looks like one of the old school rock star microphones that you see on stages. You might see Freddie Mercury holding something like this back in the day. And it's not like the Podmic. It's not like the Heil in that it's got this kind of old school feel to it. You'll see I'm holding it. It can be mounted in a stand like this, of course, on a boom arm. And it comes with its own little arm here, and I've got this kind of little wind filter on, which I'm going to talk to you about a little bit later. But the reason that I love this microphone is the versatility, okay? Now, there are 2 reasons that it's so versatile. Number 1, it is handheld. So if you go out and you record things out in the field, you can stick 2 of these or 1 of these in your bag. I take these traveling with me. I go traveling with my recorder and this, and when I do conferences like Podcast Movement, if I'm ever recording with people on the road and you ever hear something that I'm doing, it's very often that I've got 1 of these, and very likely that I'm carrying a couple of these around in my bag, okay? That's part 1 of the versatility. Part 2 of the versatility, if you can just see at the bottom of this, Can you see the connections at the bottom of it? You've got this, which is called an XLR, and I'm going to talk to you about other peripheral equipment that you need. Cabling is one of them. This is called an XLR cable, all right, and it's plugged in to the bottom of the microphone, and it has to be plugged in. The XLR has to be plugged into a device that goes in between your computer and your microphone. So I've got this plugged into a Rodecaster, and then the Rodecaster is recording the audio and interfacing with the computer. So if I'm recording into something like Audition, I can record through this, through the Rodecaster, or another device, which I'll talk to you about in a second, and into the computer. However, what you'll also notice is that this has another couple of connections. It's got a little USB connection or this is the ATR 2100. There is another version called the ATR 2100X that also has a USB-C underneath. And what that means is that it comes with a cable to plug this microphone directly in to your computer, cutting out any recording device in the middle and meaning you can record straight to your computer. So theoretically, that would be all that you need to record. It's a wonderfully versatile microphone. And it comes as well with a headphones jack. Can you just quite see that at the bottom? I don't know if you can see that. There's a headphones jack out, so I could plug my headphones into this, and it controls everything. I've got ultimate movement. I've got ultimate capability to kind of be flexible with things. It's a fantastic microphone. And you'll notice the sound isn't that different. The sound isn't that different. Now, I don't want to get into condenser mics versus dynamic. I just want to give you a decision. I want to give you a demo on these, all right? So the thing that you need to know about the ATR 2100 is we're trying to demystify the tech. This is a very simple and powerful mic, and it sounds really, really good. Now, next up, I'm going to bring onto the stage the Samson Q2U, the last of the four that I'm going to talk to you about. So I'm going to swap that out right now, fade down my ATR, and bring up the Samson. Here we are. Now, the Samson Q2U is a wonderful, wonderful microphone, okay? In fact, it's pretty much the same microphone. You can even see down to the connections on the bottom. It's the very same microphone for all intents and purposes as the ATR 2100. The reason that I include it here, and we'll talk about pricing in a second, despite the ATR and the Samson being very similarly priced, you can't get the ATR 2100 or the 2100X easily in the UK. So if you're in the US, the ATR is very, very easy to get a hold of. If you're in the UK, much more difficult. So the Samson is the microphone that essentially does the same job as the ATR. Does the exact same job, and you'll notice it looks the same, it feels the same. Yeah, it's a slightly different color, but it even comes with the same stand. It's got the same setup. It's got the XLR input. It's got the USB. We've got everything that we have here, the headphone jack, the inline volume control. Everything is the same as the ATR. Now, it sounds fairly similar. You'll notice that the quality across all of these four has been fantastic. So how do they stack up in terms of pricing? Okay. Hey, I'm Mark Asquith. This is the Podcast Accelerator. You'll see it sounds fine. It sounds great. Okay. It's very full. It's very rich, and it's portable. You can pop this in a bag and you can carry it around whilst also mounting it to a boom arm, very similar to the Heil. So I'm going to fade down the volume on this Samson. I'm going to bring my Heil PR40 back into the mix, and I'm going to talk to you about which microphone I think you should choose and why. Plus, of course, the all-important pricing. All right. You heard each one of those four microphones. They are all wonderful microphones, but they do come with differences in versatility and differences, in my view, in scalability and use case for the brand new podcaster like you. First, let's talk about pricing. The Heil PR40 is the most expensive of the four microphones that we talked about. And there are other microphones that are even more expensive, the Shure SM7B, for example. The Heil actually comes in, depending where you get it from, between £300 and £400, or $300 and $400. Now, that's a very expensive microphone. It looks great, it sounds great, but it is between that $300 and $400 mark, okay? The RØDE Podmic, on the other hand, in my view, sounds really fantastic. This comes in at £100 or $100. It's a wonderful microphone. It's extremely well put together, and anything that RØDE does is just wonderful. They do great, great podcasting and audio equipment. So the RØDE Podmic, if you're in the market for something that you just want to put on a boom arm and stay at a desk with, Any of these two will work, but for my money, the RØDE Podmic at $100 is where you should be looking. On to the more versatile microphones, the ATR 2100 and the Samson Q2U. These both retail at around $100. You can get them in Black Friday deals or big sales during the summer. You can get them actually a little cheaper than that. I've seen them on the market for between $50 and $70. And in the UK, of course, £50 and £70. Generally speaking, you are looking, depending where you look, whether it's Best Buy in the US, whether it's Amazon in the US, whether it's Amazon in the UK, or somewhere else like a music shop in the UK, you'll be looking at between, on average, 90 and 100 for these microphones. Now, I highly recommend that these two microphones, the ATR and the Samson, are the two that you use. Why do I recommend that these are the two that you use? The versatility, okay? If I just pick up here the ATR and pop off the cable, what you'll notice is that actually that versatility is everything. These options at the bottom are everything. They make it so easy to carry this microphone around, to work with this microphone in so many different settings. And the really cool thing with this is that it comes with a desk stand. Now, granted, having the desk stand on the desk is way too far away from you. You don't want that. But it's useful for if you're recording other things like group chats. It's great to stick in the bag. But this can be mounted because it comes with this kind of top bit that you clip in, this clip. What you can do is you can mount it on a boom arm. So you could have this here on a boom arm, just like the Heil, just like the Podmic, and it would sound just as good. It would be tethered to your desk just as well as any of the mics out there, but you could whip it off and you can take it out with you. Now, the reason that I recommend this ATR 2100, and of course, if you are in the UK, this Samson Q2U, if I just unplug this one and show you the bottom of it as well, it's the very same level of versatility. You've got the same sort of ports at the bottom, and it's the same. Look at me, I'm kind of, I can throw this around. It's a brilliant piece of kit. And in the UK, that's the thing that I would recommend, the Samson Q2U, just because you can't get the ATR in the UK. So these two microphones give you, the ATR 2100 and the Samson Q2U, they give you the ultimate flexibility with a wonderful recording tone. They mean that you don't have to have a recording device that you record to. You can record straight to your computer if you wish, which is what we're going to talk about in the next video. And it means that you can pop them in a bag, and they're only $100. All right? So they're my recommendations. The ATR 2100 if you're in the US, the Samson Q2U if you are in the UK. Could you buy a Heil PR40? Yes, I love them. They are wonderful. Could you buy a RØDE Podmic? Yes, for $100. It's a brilliant tool to have in your arsenal. There are other microphones that I would recommend. The Shure SM7B, the RØDE Podcaster, the RØDE Procaster. But these four are the ones that I think you should be looking at. And in particular, these two are what I think you should be buying, because you have absolutely no cons to these. There is no downside to buying these. There is only good quality audio, flexibility, and scalability. So, when it comes to your microphones, grab yourself an ATR 2100, or if you're in the UK, a Samson Q2U. Let me know how you get along in the office hours. Come along this week, 11 AM Eastern on Friday. Let me know in the Facebook group which microphone did you choose and why, and let me know how it sounds. Maybe upload some audio demos, have a play with it. Let's get a feel for it. Well done. This is a huge thing overcome. We've demystified all of the, this mic is better, this mic is better, this mic is better. Just clear, actionable advice. Go and grab the ATR 2100, the ATR 2100X if you want the USB-C capability, or the Samson Q2U if you're in the UK.